So even though Biology is a rock song, it started on the piano like a lot of my other songs do. One day I was listening to some music on Spotify and this song came on that I had never heard before. It was a pop song. I can't remember what it was, unfortunately. I was really drawn to it and I loved the chord progression that was being used. So when I got home, I sat down at the piano and I figured out what was going on. It's kind of nerdy, but I want to show you what's going on because it's pretty cool. So typically in most chord progressions you have large jumps where you're changing a lot of notes every time you change chords. But in this song I heard this chord progression. So just in case you missed that, I was only changing one note each time. So the chords that you're passing through have a really cool sound to them, but it's really the way that you're moving through them that I thought was so cool. You're kind of just like sneaking those changes in just a little bit at a time. So yeah, I just thought this was a really cool progression, and after I figured it out on piano, I took it to the guitar. So the reason that I wanted to put it on guitar is because I had never really heard a rock song use a chord progression like this. For this song I put a capo on the first fret just to kind of change it up a little bit. And once I figured out my key, I tried kind of putting that chord progression on the guitar and I got these shapes. So you can kind of hear me just like moving one note at a time, gradually changing through chords, just like I did on the piano. I just kind of like jammed on that for a while and came up with this rhythm. Once I had that super aggressive feel going, I started to kind of mess with some vocal melodies, and that's when I landed on what would become the chorus of Biology. When your thoughts are never, it's fine, uneven, it's fine, but I believe if it's love reason, it's all the keys on playing, if only I'm falling down and I'm falling ever, I love the person of me. Ever, you found me never. I'm finally learning to breathe. So when I first wrote that chorus, I was, I guess, feeling more positive, and I was gonna write it about how, you know, now that I'm out of a band and I'm kind of on my own doing my own thing, I feel a little more liberated and a little more free to kind of do whatever I want. So that's where this idea of like learning to breathe was coming from. The thing is, I'm not very good at writing like positive songs. I'm much better at writing sad songs. So I ran out of things to like talk about in the Learning to Breathe song, and I was like, you know what? Let me just make this a really like self-deprecating song instead. Once I was on that wave, it was like way easier to write lyrics. I feel like my whole life I've been like a pretty positive, mentally healthy person. The past couple years have been hard. I've gone through a lot of big changes in my life, and I kind of feel like my mental health is like not where it used to be at all. And on top of that, like, you know, I'm 27 years old now. I'm getting older. I'm getting old. Like, I'm getting to that age where like I'm sort of out of my prime physically. It's all kind of downhill from here, if we're being honest. And every day I can't stop thinking about the fact that like I am getting older. You know, I think all of that has kind of put a tremendous stress on me, and I decided to use this song to just like dump all the shit into. The chorus is kind of centered around my body, I guess, because it's talking about my hair, it's talking about my bones, it's talking about my chemistry. I'm kind of referring to like brain chemistry, and then it, you know, finishes up with like, just fuck my biology, bro, because every day something new is going wrong. And as I got into the verses and everything, it kind of just ended up becoming a song about like all the shit that's going wrong in my life and all the negativity that I kind of feel like I'm harboring and carrying around with me every day. So anyway, once I had this theme going and I had some lyrics in place, it was time to build the song up with a full band. Biology is a rock song at its core. So in terms of the production and kind of like the fingerprint of the song, it comes down to the gear I used and how I wrote and arranged the parts themselves. In terms of gear, I use a Fender Strat guitar through my Kemper. For this song, I was running a Bogner Ecstasy profile. I use a Fender Squier jazz bass with a dark glass B7K distortion pedal. I use a Mapex drum kit, and I do a little bit of sample replacing on the snare, the kick, and the toms. And aside from that, there were a couple of other moments in the song where there was like some keyboards or some like vocal effects and stuff, but overall it was pretty minimal, and the song is being carried by those main instruments. In terms of the parts that I wrote themselves, the song is in the key of F with a capo on the first fret. So what that basically means is I can get these open strings on top of every chord, and it kind of helps to glue the chord progressions together a little more and add some color. So I'll show you what I mean. Here's the intro with no extra strings, just the bass power chords. And now here's the intro the way that I played it, making sure to hit the open B and E strings on top for everything. So you can hear it adds a lot of height to the chords and makes them sound larger than life, and it even helps include chords that aren't otherwise in the key. For instance, that last chord in the progression, that's not in the key normally, and without those strings on top, it can sound a little random, but having those strings on top of everything helps that last chord feel a little more at home and like it belongs. Harmonically, Biology kind of switches between F major and F minor a lot, or rather it borrows from F minor a lot and kind of has these two worlds living side by side in a little bit of an uncomfortable way. You can hear an example of that in that verse progression that I just played. That last chord is borrowed from F minor and kind of has like a darker, more mysterious tone to it. But this combination of major and minor really culminates in the breakdown of the song. It's predominantly in F major, but there are a couple of moments that kind of make you doubt that, like this right here. That kind of feels bluesy and like classic rock for a second. Another moment is this part right here. That first note is borrowed from F minor. And right after that, it starts all over again and hits you with the major chord like right away. So you're just like constantly being tossed back and forth between major, minor, weird note, good sounding note. And it kind of created the effect that I wanted, which was like confusion, quirkiness, aggression, all kind of culminated into one part. Although the breakdown is like where it goes the craziest, there are hints of this in every part of the song. Like in the verse, there's a little bit of it. In the chorus, the chord progression is kind of strange. I think including those strange, out of character chords amidst the more pleasant, kind of expected chords helps create the feeling of uneasiness, which is sort of what the lyrics are conveying. After the breakdown, I thought it would be cool to have all the instruments clear out and kind of get quiet again. But I knew that the lyrics that would be over that part had to be special and kind of poignant. So that's when I thought of the astrology bridge. The bridge is basically just repeating, I just want to find a girl who isn't into astrology. If there's one thing that makes me mad and that I don't have a lot of patience for, it's astrology. I don't know what it is, it just makes me mad. And every girl now is into it. So as like someone who's dating, it can be frustrating. In the spirit of making the song kind of just like a shitpost of all the things that are going wrong in my life, it kind of felt natural to just like throw that in there. Biology overall is a really special song to me because of its genre, really. Rock and metal are what got me into music, but for the longest time, I always kind of told myself that I didn't have a rock voice, that my voice wasn't high enough to sing over a rock track. Writing and recording the song and kind of being proud of it was huge because I kind of felt like I was getting access to this part of my musicianship that I've been kind of like running away from and like hiding from for a long time now. So yeah, writing and recording this one was really fun, really liberating, and any feedback that I've gotten on this song means like a little bit more just because I thought I could never like really do a song like this, you know? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this look behind the song. I hope you learned something new about like my writing and recording process. process, or just like writing and recording in general. Maybe you can take some of the stuff you heard in this video and apply it to your production or your songwriting. Either way, this has been dope, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.